Welcome to Can Angels Fly? I'm Nancy, and today our topic is the descent into hell. Before we get started on the topic, here's a disclaimer, a loose disclaimer. When you visit my channel, you come for tarot readings, and I offer you so much more. And the reason I offer you so much more has to do with my personal life experiences. How can I say that in detail? I didn't understand this life. And so I began to search and to dig and to make it make sense. But we'll cover that as we move forward on talking about the descent into hell. So the extra videos that I create are to help you be able to make sense of this world and life, possibly help you get in touch with yourself and to come to a clear understanding so that you don't have to come to me to read the tarot cards. You know the answers. And we'll deal with that as we talk about the descent into hell. When I say prophecy, I don't know if you believe this is entertainment or if it's real. Do I really believe it or not? I'll leave that totally up to you. When I make videos, many times I'm very dramatic. I tell you about my Leo ascent. I do try to entertain you. I like to hold your attention for a while. So here's drama, What do you think? Does that drama throw you off about me? Anyway, this disclaimer is to say, hey, whatever I share here on this channel is completely up to you to accept it as truth, to accept it as something that makes you curious and compels you to go out and learn or investigate and research, or it can just totally just be, like entertainment. It's totally up to you. Now on to our subject of descent into hell. In order to make this video easier for me, I'm just going to read straight off my paper. And you know how it goes when I'm reading. Half the time I can't even tell what I've written, but I'm going to give it a good try. And in hell, I still need glasses. So, how do you like my Baphomet horns? Or my bondage? The keys to hell, maybe? Maybe we'll come back to that at the end of this video. So let me put my glasses on because I still can't see in hell. And I'm going to just read. So I probably won't have much personality in this video. The descent into hell. Why are we here? What do I mean when I say here? In this realm. Why are we here at this emotional state? This collective emotional state? Me, you, everybody in humanity. How we feel collectively. A state of hatred, disgust, fear, rejection, abominations, shame, abuse, misuse, violence, nitwittedness are just a few of the souls, our souls, responses to our rapid descent through the levels of hell. As we draw closer and become one with our flames of passion, one, all, consumed in the personal fire. Now, as I have expressed, I'm going to simply read so that I don't get lost and it doesn't stress me out too much. But this person, I saw an image of this person as a an icon or whatever you call it, promoting someone's video. And I've been seeing it for weeks, maybe even a month or so. And I was like, it was really disturbing. I wasn't sure if the image of this person was real or if it was, computer generated or not. And the other night, I was like, I'm going to click on this. Who is this person? I don't even know how to pronounce their name. I'm a Trado. Triple X Tint Icons. I don't know. That's why I wrote it here, so you can know who I'm talking about. Now, this person, after I kind of watched the video in which the icon of them, this person, was presented, I was like, well, let me Google them. And what I saw was, it was a young man around the age of 20. And, he was covered in all these freaky tattoos, and his hair was two different tones on each side, one on each side, contrasting. It looked like he may have had eczema underneath the tattoos, so he had a very strange look. I was appalled immediately. Like, oh, really? But something said, Nancy, click on this video. What video? It was a video that talked about, it was him talking and addressing his followers. This young man has his own level of fame. I don't know exactly if he's like a YouTube sensation, that kind of thing. He may be a megastar, I don't know. But I think it's more on the order of like the YouTube, Instagram, I think. And he's into music. And so I clicked on that video. And this young man began to speak. And as he spoke, I was enlightened. Now, as strange and as demonic as he looked, he had all his faculties. He was a tormented soul. It's as if all the tattoos and, the strange hair and everything was merely a cry out for help, showing his internal torment outwardly. And like I said, it appeared that he may have a touch of eczema, so it just magnified his appearance, the shocking experience even more. I don't know if that's the case or I don't know. But he's a very strange character, by first glance. How they talk about the first presentation, shocking. But as the young man began to talk, like I said, I was enlightened that this young man, was a tormented soul. And what he was doing in the feed that I was watching, it was like his followers were, making comments to him and asking him questions. And what I noticed is that he answered in fullness, straightforward, directly, truthfully, and from his heart. But it didn't matter what he said. The majority of them couldn't hear him. And what he was sharing was the torment of his soul. But people were his peers were so captivated with him. Not captivated with him as far as him being an individual and them knowing him. No, they were captivated because he had attained a level of fame, success. He was living his dream of doing his music. He fully expressed himself the way he wanted to or was compelled to from the torment. But nobody, no matter what he said to them, felt him. They never saw him. They didn't see his torment. Even though he kept saying it and with direct answers. Like I guess someone may have commented that he was an unattractive fellow. And he says, I know, I'm unattractive. I always talk about it. Or I wish I really could think of a good one. I wish I had taken notes. people saying they want to be like him and how they envy him. And he said, don't envy me. He says, you know, he spoke so direct about his pain with only one or two words. It was astonishing how a person can be so direct, telling you their fears and their anguish, but you can't hear it. Now I'm gonna go on. Right here. He was and is descending down into hell. But I could see. At this time, I like to talk about a video I made where I shared that I had the opportunity to sell my soul to the devil. So I put the paper down and, just wing it here. I shared. Simple old me was offered to sell my soul to the devil. Why me? Why? Because I do have influence over certain people. And the people that I've always had influence over in my life were those that I was offered to have rulership and be able to govern over. I can make an impact on their life on behalf of the devil. But I declined. The devil offered me rulership over infants, children, young adults, and senior citizens. I shared with you in that video. I respectfully declined. Let me check out my horns. The reason why I bring that up is because this young man that I spoke of, him, was a tormented soul descending down in hell. He had so much to say, but understood clearly that no one was hearing him. Who was assisting him on his descent into hell? People that accepted the devil's offer to sell their souls and govern over the same kind of group that it was offered to me. People that wouldn't listen to him or could not offer guidance to him. They couldn't stop him or other young folks from descending down into hell. Anyway, it's TMI. Some time for some private information. When it comes to me, in my earlier days, like most of us, I was taught that 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, that's what I was told. So what I ended up doing in life, I attempted to apply 1 + 1 = 2. And every time I was told I was wrong, failure after failure after failure in life. It got to be so bad that it led me, in the course of my life, to confusion. Hey, I was taught by this institution or this person that 1 + 1 = 2. But every time I try to apply it, it's never right. It's never correct. And I use 1 + 1 = 2 as an example. It could be x + x = 2x, but it was wrong. X is representing a variable of experiences. The answer, the decision, or the actions I took were wrong. Even though I so eagerly tried to follow the instructions of those guiding me. Anyway, it led to a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, ultimately depression, and finally desiring to end my own life. Death, yes, death by suicide. Hmm. Now, this person right here, this young man, and I don't even have the same presentation. We don't even come from the same generation. So, why have we both been or are in the same place? And where is that? Descending down to hell. Well, and what does hell or being here really means? We'll kind of pick that up as I move forward. I have been offering, I guess, more of a religious or spiritual predictions I share with you here on YouTube. I am not a professional. I am an amateur. And what has been my teacher? It has been life. It has been every major institution in this world. It has been all the people that I have engaged and encountered, all of the experiences I have ever had. I use it all. I use it all to bring me to the place of understanding and enlightenment. Remember, I was coming from a place where 1 + 1 didn't equal 2. So, the last report I gave, or prediction or prophecy, whatever term you like to use, I use them all loosely, but so I can define what I'm actually doing. I was talking about how we who, me, you, and everybody in existence is currently helping to negotiate the contract of how this world will be in the future. Not only now, from this moment forward, but into the distant future of humanity. I also talked about how we are going to partake in the social mingle. I believe that's what we are doing now, and we are expressing what we want, our own selfish aims and desires, as we prepare to move forward and create this contract about how we want the world to be. So, with that being said, understanding where we are now and where we're headed to, the purpose, the goal, to establish a contract about how we want the world to be. And pointing to that young man I was talking about and myself. Not only he and I, but me and you, each of us in humanity. Why aren't we able to understand where we are? Why? We're going to answer that and explore that during our topic of descending to hell. Why is there this breakdown from generation to generation? In another video I created, I talked about how we've been across this bridge before. We've been crossing this bridge before. A time when we wrote up a contract about what we wanted the world to be like in the future. Now it's the future. That has all unraveled. And now it's time to recreate or to create a new contract, to draw up a new contract. So, it's so many of us. Let me see if I can straighten it out. I'll try to focus on he and me and the young man I've been talking about, or any other. What I'm just trying to get to, transition over to, is the breakdown from generation to generation. Not only he and I, but the generation before me, and that one before me, and that one before them, and before them, and before them. Because in every generation, they be like, oh, I just don't understand these young folks. You know, like I did when I saw him. I was, oh my God, that was an atrocity. We just don't understand. And why is that? And what are the effects of the breakdown that happens between generations? Anyway, let me pick my notes up and begin to read, because it's getting hot in here. You know, here. And what? I'll let you fill that in. So I'm just going to read. So I'm going to end up going back because I'm losing my way. Why is there this breakdown from generation to generation? The way we look, the way we act, the things we do, the way we relate. Every new generation is further removed from the truths of life, the natural rules. The failure of previous generations to sustain the integrity of the truths of life, the natural rules. Their failure to preserve, protect, and to pass on the decree, the rules established by the Creator, maybe even a million years ago or so. You know, they found a Lucy. And let me see if I can make that make sense, or do I need to read a little more? Okay. As I mentioned, you know, they found a Lucy. They who science, archaeologists, they found a Lucy, a Neanderthal or whatever she was, which shows that people or something like us existed millions of years ago. How did she live and others like her during her time, before her time, etc., etc.? How did they survive to get to be full-fledged adults? You know, they knew something, is what I'm trying to get to. Now, I can actually say there are so many stories that revolve around our existence. There are so many theories that, especially religious theories, that support how we got here, and withstanding going into any one of those theories. The point is that we've been here for a mighty, mighty long time. Another truth is that, and this truth is unrefutable, is that this world that we live on is a self-contained ecosystem. It's perfect, baby. It's perfect. Everything that a being or a person could ever need is here. Water, shelter, no substance to make shelter, food. What do you need? What do you need? I'm not talking about all the bells and whistles that we engage in now. I'm talking about what you need. It's all here. And so, what am I trying to say? I'm saying for as long as some form of man or woman has been on this earth, life itself has been providing all the necessities required for them to continue to strive, even to today. What is the difference? Whatever Lucy and others like her knew, those ancestors failed to sustain, preserve, and protect the rules set forth by life. Basic rules. One day soon I'll be making a video that covers the universal laws. And not only the universal laws, we have periodic tables. All these things are rules or laws or formulas to residing safely and fully covered in this realm. Anyway, I'll move forward. And because I want to talk about how we live right now in the age of knowledge, increased knowledge. So we don't have to go as far back as Lucy, but we can go back a few hundred years, let's say 600-700 years ago, where most likely, the basic rules or laws, the decree that God made or Creator made with man about how to live here was still in place. You look at the Native American cultures and other indigenous people, living with nature and things like that. So we don't have to go all the way back to Lucy. During the last contract we were humanity, we failed to take in consideration the Creator and to preserve that information, the instructions or the rules to living in this realm and handing it down. Let me see. I'm getting off track. Let me see what I hear. Oh, I'm not too far off track. But what we came to under the previous contract, which has brought us to where we are now, is now our existence is governed by narcissistic, egotistical bureaucracy, politics, laws, law enforcement, big business, corporations, commercialism, news, media, entertainment, etc., etc. And why is this important? Why is this so important? Well, it's important because it answers the question, why 1 + 1 did not equal 2? Again, it answers the question, why 1 + 1 ain't 2? Well, what do I mean by that? God, Creator, whoever you like to deem divine, set this place and us in motion for whatever reason. And He gave us a whole bunch of rules, or she gave us a whole bunch of rules. And those rules were to maintain us in the highest of integrity for a particular time period. But over time, man showed his corruption. I think we had a choice. And men and women who are aware men and women, we usually call them the elite or something like this, the mega wealthy. The aware folks, aware of what? God's laws and His rules and stuff like that. Began to take over the world. So by the time folks start coming along, I'm sure it was long before my generation, but by the time I came along, 1 + 1 could not equal 2 anymore, because we weren't playing by God's, the divine's laws. No. We were playing by man's laws, women's laws, those men and women that were aware. Now, what do I mean by aware? From what I've witnessed in life, we're not born into families that sit us down and say, hey, let's learn nature. Let's find the herbs that heal, or spices that season, and that which is edible. We don't come into families that do that. We don't find out, we don't find out about the elements until you get in middle school, those kind of things. All the rules, God's rules, the divine's rules to this self-contained ecosystem. We go through this whole process round and about, and anything that we learn about these particular fields of study, we learn later on, beginning middle school, then advancing to high school and college. You got to pay for that stuff. And it's not that you're learning it for self-survival. You're learning it in order to go to one of those aware men or women's corporations, jobs, business, etc., in order to sustain them, dumbing ourselves down. But when you start talking about the super rich, the elites, they have a legacy. And it's not just money. It's just not the fruits of this earth that they have seized and hoarded. Those legacies consist of their children being born with into an existence, into a family that immediately began to teach about the laws of the divine and how to reside in this world. So they don't have this big break in time. They don't have this time where they don't know the truth. Like many of us old common layman folks, you don't know the truth. And so, those aware men and women seize control of all the fruits of this earth, and then began to create new laws, man's laws, and feeding them to everybody else. So by the time I come along and other folks like me, like this young man I've been talking about, him, 1 + 1 don't equal 2. Even our recent ancestors don't have the answer. They can't make it make sense. They can't answer questions. They can't provide the leadership that you need. And I come back to that. Let me continue to read. And I'm just going to read. 1 + 1 = 2. Aware men and women of the past kept excellent records, handing them down from generation after generation. Legacy. The foundation of bureaucracy and the world as we know it now. For us, for the common lay folks, there were no answers for that young man, Triple X, and there were no answers for me. Nobody could make it make sense. Just manipulation, demands from selfish men and selfish women. No one hears. No one hears. Okay. No one hears is my subtitle. And under no one hears, I wanted to speak about the things that happen in life, kept in the dark. The things that corporations do, nobody speaks of. And if a person speaks, no one hears. Or the perversions that have taken place in different arenas of life. When someone speaks, no one hears. The confusion, just overall confusion. Nobody can make it make sense. 1 + 1 don't equal 2 no more, because we're not dealing with this life governed underneath the rules set forth by the divine. But we are moving through this life trying to live under the corrupt rules of aware men and women. 1 + 1 don't make 2. Or the dark secrets that take place between people and no one listens. Remember, the subject is descent into hell. Oh, wow. I left it. I wasn't prepared. While I was writing out this little skit, my daughter just happened to bust in the room on me. She's 18 now. And she said, Mama, I need you to look at my artwork. I'm like, first I was going to say no. No. I just wish I had it. No. And some said, don't say no. Be a mom and look at the artwork. So I took her binder, her portfolio, and I began to flip the pages of her drawings. And my heart began to swell because my daughter was showing me this. If you go see this young man's image, they were showing me this. The confusion, the sadness, the frustration, the depression, and soon it'll manifest into possibly wanting to commit suicide, to end their life, because 1 + 1 does not equal 2, and no one around can make it make sense. And she had images and poetry, amazing artists. And it was this one picture that she drew in which the person was all broken, and she created this poetry that went with it. And it said something about, now brokenness is beautiful. And another, it was this young woman, she had drawn, sketched, balled up. You could tell the child or the person, the woman in the image was balled over crying, hopeless, aimless. And it said something like this. Basically, here's my pain. But even though I show my pain, I'm taught to cover it up and wear it as beautiful. I too am guilty, having very little answers. That's my own daughter. And the reason I was going to display my daughter's artwork here, of course, is to give her a shameless plug, but was because my daughter, I asked my daughter, did she know this guy? She didn't know anything about him. She said he's just kind of getting hot, around her circle, or some people just finding out about her. But my daughter and this young man had a lot in common. It's this hidden agony, the torment, the pain, the fear, and not nobody can hear it, nor make it make sense. Now I talk about these young folks, but this is the same thing for even the older generation. Remember, the devil offered to buy my soul. I would be given rulership and dominion over infants, babies, children, young adults, and senior citizens. That was deep. Like I said, when you come to my channel, I don't know if you think it's a form of entertainment or do you take me literally. How you perceive me is totally up to you. Well, anyway, I'm going to move forward and continue to read. And my daughter's artwork are an example of the philosophy of the youth. And I say that because, again, the devil offered to buy my soul for a reason. It's because of my continuous outreach and influence over those particular age brackets. And so I have encountered many, many young folk, children, all kind of stuff, and older folk. And It has been their philosophy. And each and every one, no matter where I meet them at, where they come from, background, it doesn't matter, are all tormented, all engulfed in inner fear. I'm talking about inner fear, that 12th house stuff. And it's not being addressed. No one hears. Anyway, what do I have here? Oh, and I wrote here to make sure even the perfect kids, many have those same states of torture and torment within them. No one hears, no one answers. But then there is this other side that really clouds things. And what is that? It's when you look at a person and they show no signs of torture or torment. They are part of the mainstream, the matrix, blind to the descent into hell that is taking place. What do I mean by that? When you get the perfect person, or the person that shows no signs of torment at all, and they are excelling. I'm not saying that they're a bad person, but what I'm saying is they are in line with man, with the aware man and the aware woman, the one that knows the matrix. They are aligned with them. For them, yes, 1 + 1 = 2. But for a person that lives or attempts to live within the natural laws decreed by God, universe, or however you like to address the divine, 1 + 1 don't equals 2. And so in this world, it creates another level of confusion. You can't see. It doesn't make sense. And then the judgment begins, those kind of things. Anyway, there's a cry for help from the youth, especially. There's a growth of the internal pain and confusion. Anytime broken is looked at as beautiful. Broken is beautiful. This is our descent into hell. The descent into hell is a generational thing. Let me close with somewhat of a summary. What did I mean by all of that? What did I mean? We humans have been put in here and are incarnated into this realm for a reason and a season. And this system that we have been put in is a self-contained ecosystem. That divine being or ancient being or energy that put us here, that set up the self-contained ecosystem, having it work perfectly, gave us a set of rules of how to live in this bad boy for our appointed season. But some real aware folks, both men and women, generation after generation, kept the knowledge the divine gave us away from us, handing it only down to their bloodline as a lineage, therefore helping them formulate a plan to seize control of this world and to enslave all others who just are just simple, like myself. And in that, we are beginning to descend down in hell because we are not living under that decree, under those laws. We break every natural law and rule there is. We are currently, as I spoke earlier, writing out our future contract about how we want the state of the world to be. And based on our current path, living out of the out from under the laws of God, breaking every single natural law that exists, and turning to man and implementing everything and every system in every way that we've been taught how by these egotistical, narcissistic leaders, we will slowly descend down into hell. And what we will do, what does it mean to descend down into hell? It is to burn with your own fire. Fire being your own passions, your own desires. It's being you desire to eat, but somebody keeping food from you. Burning with fire. Passion, the sexual perversions. Oh, you free to do whatever. And so is those that will suffer and be tormented, because there is always a predator looking, living out of the divine order. Okay, so either you're going to be the pursuer, the demon, or you will be the punished and the tormented. Either way, it doesn't matter what role you play here in this earth. If you're in hell, you're in hell, which says that you can be a really good person and be in hell. You don't have to inflict anybody or do anything. You don't have to be the demon. But that one that's living outside of God's laws, the divine's laws and rules, that pervert or that perverse nature or that aggressive or angry nature, whatever the case someone else may possess, will impose it upon you, or vice versa. If you have something that you want to quench by any means necessary, you will quench. And that is where we are. We are descending. We are in hell. And we are further descending down into hell. This contract that we are creating, humanity is creating, is determining the future state of this world and how it will be to live here. And yes, remember, hell, they ain't got no bottom. Hell is a spiraling, bottomless pit. Thank you for coming to Can Angels Fly and talking about the descent into hell with me. Until next time. My love, bye from Miss Horns. Bye.